What's going on, guys? Evan MMA here. In today's video, we're going to be going over my UFC 314 predictions and breakdowns. We're going to be going over every single fight on the card, giving you my thoughts and predictions on each one of them. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Nora Cornell versus Haley Cowan. I'm going to have to go with Nora Cornell to win this one. I just think she's the better fighter, way better on the feet. She's going to be able to implement her striking. She has a Thai background, I believe, Muay Thai background, and she's just a clean striker on the feet. In her last fight, she did lose to Jacqueline Cavalcanti, but she took Cavalcanti to a split decision. And that's impressive to me because Cavalcanti is a technician on the feet, very technical, very good with distance management, just a very good striker in this division. And Nora was able to take her to a split decision. So that's impressive to me. Whereas Haley Cowan doesn't really have any impressive performances. She lost her last fight pretty decisively to Jamie Lynn Horth. And Jamie Lynn Horth is not the lowest level fighter ever, but definitely not like a high level fighter. I'd definitely say Cavalcanti's a better fighter than Jamie Lynn Horth. So Nora Cornole coming off of a higher level loss than Haley Cowan. Not to mention Haley Cowan's been out of the octagon for 2 years. Just about 2 years, 1 year and 11 months. So yeah, basically 2 years. That was the fight where she lost to Jamie Lynn Horth. And I don't know, she just hasn't been very active in her career. She's had 5 fights in the last 5 years, whereas Nora has had 5 fights in the last 2 years. So just more activity, fighting higher level opponents, more experience in the UFC. She's had one more fight in the promotion. And I don't know, got a win over Jocelyn Edwards in her debut, then KO'd Melissa Mullins with a knee to the body, and I don't know, Jacqueline Cavalcanti split decision loss. That doesn't look too bad. Cavalcanti's very high level. Cowan's last win was 2.5 years ago on the Contender Series against some random. I don't know. I just don't see how Haley Cowan wins this fight. I think Nora Cornole has her beat, and I'm going to go with Nora Cornole. Could see a knockout, but I'm going to say decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. This is going to be my first lock of the card. I'm picking Marco Tulio, first round TKO. I just think he's very impressive. He's from Shoot to Box, but he's not like the other Shoot to Box guys where they're just overly aggressive, no defense, they just run forward and get caught and end up on the ground and just accept bottom position. Marco Tulio is a little bit different. He will wait, he will look for the shot, he will find his openings, and he's got serious power, man. This guy's a dangerous, dangerous striker. And you know he's got the grappling because he's from Shuto Box. Maybe not the wrestling, but he's got grappling. That's the one thing you can tell. That's the one thing you can trust with all these Shuto Box guys. They have a submission game and they have a grappling game. Maybe not a wrestling game. Felipe Dos Santos, but they have somewhat of a grappling game. And I think that's going to be big in this fight. I think if Tresean Gore does decide to take this fight to the ground, he's not just going to completely outmatch and outwork Marco Tulio, even though I think Tresean Gore is better on the ground from what we've seen. I just don't know. We haven't seen enough from Tresean Gore, in my opinion. We haven't seen that much from Marco Tulio either, but we've seen more. He's just been more impressive. A 13-1 record versus a 5-2 record. And if we look at the guys Tresean Gore's beating, he's 2-2 in his last four. 4 months ago, submitted Antonio Tricoli with a standing guillotine. Tricoli's like the lowest level middleweight on the roster. And then before that, 2 years, 5 months ago, guillotine Josh Fremd, who's also pretty low level. And then before that, lost to Cody Brundage by KO, and then lost to Brian Battle by decision. So I don't know, man. Brian Battle's not a bad loss, but like getting slept by Cody Brundage, like I don't know. Whereas we look at Marco Tulio, yeah, his wins also aren't the highest level, but I mean he won his last fight against Ihor Potieria, KO'd him in the first round. And I know Ihor's had a couple KO losses in his career, but to just mow through him like that and make him look easy, it's pretty impressive. I think Tulio's going to find the shot here. I think he's going to put Tresean Gore out, and I don't know. Just don't stick your head into a guillotine, and you're going to beat Tresean Gore. So, yeah, I'm going to go Marco Tulio as a lock, first round TKO over Tresean Gore. Let's move on to the next fight. Sumo Darji versus Mitch Raposo. I'm going to go with Sumo Darji by decision. Mitch Raposo just, I don't know, he just isn't that impressive to me. A lot of people are looking at his last performance where he lost a split decision to Andre Lima, and they're seeing how good Andre Lima's been since then. And I'm seeing people say like, "Oh, Mitch Raposo, man, split decision with Andre Lima. That's impressive." I don't know how in the hell that fight was a split decision. That was a clear Andre Lima win, kind of like the at 305 with the Rosenstrike versus Tuivasa fight, where it was clearly Rosenstrike's fight the whole time, and then one of the judges somehow gives it to Tuivasa. But like, there's no way you could argue Tuivasa winning it. So they just straight up tried to rob him. But yeah, that's pretty much what this was. Just a blatant bad scorecard. Shouldn't have been split. It was kind of competitive, but definitely not enough for a split decision. So it's just one of those fights where it says split decision, but I talk about it like it's a unanimous decision. Lima pieced him up. So yeah, I'm gonna go Sumadarji here. He's gonna have a big size advantage. He's very big for the division. Mitch Raposo, or not Mitch Raposo, Sumadarji is very big for the division. Not only is he like tall, but he's also just like long and rangy. He's listed at 5'8" with a 72-inch reach, but I think he's a little bit taller. I think he's more close to like 5'9", maybe even 5'10". He's just tall. Like he's a tall, long guy for the division. And Mitch Raposo is 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. So I think Sumerdarji can circle the outside, use his outside movements, low kicks, 1-2s, and just pick apart Mitch Raposo from range. And I know he's on a 3-fight losing streak, Sumerdarji that is, but like I don't know. He's not losing to complete cans. Lost his last fight to Charles Johnson by decision. Charles Johnson's good. Lost his last fight before that to Tim Elliott by triangle choke. Tim Elliott's got a decently dangerous submission game. Tim Elliott's good on the ground. Tim Elliott's tricky to deal with on the ground. And then before that, lost to Matt Schnell by submission as well. But Matt Schnell, if you don't get him out of there, if you don't KO him, he is actually kind of decently like hard to deal with. Like he's a skilled fighter. It's just he has no chin. It's kind of like Cody Garbrandt, where if you don't put him out, he can be hard and tricky. But if you do put him out, which most people do, just is what it is. Um, and I know a lot of people look at that and think, oh, he couldn't KO Schnell. That must mean he has no power. No, he does have power. I don't know how he couldn't KO or I don't know how he couldn't KO Schnell. That's weird to me. Sumerdarji has 13 wins by KO. He has power, trust me. That was just a bit of a bad performance, but yeah. I'm gonna go Sumerdarji to win this one. I could see a KO, but I think he just circles the outside, picks him apart from range, lands the better, bigger shots, and wins this one on the scorecards. Let's move on to the next fight. Cedricus Dumas versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. This is another lock on the card for me. I'm picking Mikhail Oleksiejczuk first round TKO. I don't know. I just think he's way better on the feet. Dumas, he always wants to try and get the fight to the ground, but he doesn't really have the submission threat to where I think Oleksiejczuk is going to have to really worry about it that much. Usually when Oleksiejczuk just loses and gets taken down, he gets submitted. Like he got submitted by Caio Borralho, got submitted by Michel Pereira, got submitted by Kevin Holland. But all of those guys are way higher level than Cedricus Dumas, both just in general and even on the ground. And if we look at Dumas recently, he's lost 2 out of his last 5 fights. He won his last fight against Dennis Tululin. Tululin's shit. Before that, got KO'd in the first round by Nursultan Ruzaboev. And then before that, beat Abu Azaitar by decision. Before that, beat Cody Brundage by decision. And then before that, lost to Josh Frem by submission. I don't know. It's just none of that is impressive to me at all. And I just think it's bad looks to lose to guys like Josh Fremd. The Ruzaboev loss isn't bad. Ruzaboev's pretty good, but losing to Josh Fremd is not a good look. Josh Fremd just sucks. Whereas Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, I just think he's been more impressive. Even in his losses, in my opinion, he's been more impressive. Lost his last fight by Shara Magomedov. It was a decently competitive fight. Like I know Shara was clearly winning, but Mikhail had him on the back foot, and he was landing a lot. Like he was clipping Shara a bunch, dropped Shara in the first round. And yeah, he just looked good in that fight. Before that, obviously lost to Kevin Holland by armbar, but I don't know. That was a bit of a weird stoppage. Mikhail was still in it. Apparently the ref seen like his shoulder or like elbow pop out or something, but apparently he's like double jointed. He can like put it back in, something like that. And before that, he dropped Kevin Holland. Arguably, it could have been a slip, but it looked kind of like a half and half where he hit him and he did rock him, but he was off balance and kind of fell over, got dropped. Before that, lost to Michel Pereira by submission. He got hurt to the body. Michel Pereira is a monster. He's a ranked fighter. He's super dangerous in that first round. Before that, got a win by KO over Chidi Njokuani, which is aging very well. Chidi's on a good streak right now. Just finished as Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos in his last fight. So, yeah, that's a good look, man. Chidi's really good. And then before that, got submitted by Caio Borralho. These are just higher level fighters. And I just think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is much higher level than Cedricus Dumas. Like, just look at some of the names. Like, Dumas is fighting Dennis Tululin, Nursultan Ruzaboev, Abu Azaitar, Cody Brundage, Josh Fremd, and Mikhail is fighting Shara Magomedov, Kevin Holland, Michel Pereira, Chidi Njokuani, and Caio Borralho. The level of competition for Mikhail is just way higher. And he has way more experience. Super dangerous in that first round. He'll march forward, grit down, and he's got big power in the hands. We know Dumas can be pretty chinny at times. He got brutally finished, not brutally, but finished pretty comfortably and pretty bad by Nursultan Ruziboev. And I don't know, Nursultan's good, he's rangy, he's tall, but I don't know if he has that same raw power that a guy like Mikhail Oleksiejczuk has. I think Oleksiejczuk's going to march forward, land bombs to the body, land upstairs, and I think if he lands clean with an overhand on the chin of Sindrikas Dumas, I think he's going to put Dumas down and probably finish him. Dumas is just going to be a fish out of water on the feet here. He's going to be completely outmatched. His striking is not good. He's kind of slow. He isn't the most technical. He can be kind of technical at times, but like, I don't know, not really. He's got a range advantage over Mikhail, that's about it, but like, I don't know, Dumas leaves his chin in the air. Defensively, he's not great. He doesn't really have power himself. And I don't know, I just think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk should win this. He's better everywhere. Dumas is going to want to try to get this fight to the ground. I think that's where he'll have his best shot, but I don't know, to beat, like, usually when Mikhail loses to guys in the grappling, he gets, like, submitted. Dumas doesn't have a submission threat. He's not just going to threaten submissions, get him down comfortably. You know, he's just not nearly high enough level on the ground or on the feet to deal with Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. You got to be somewhat special to just beat him. And yeah, I think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is going to get this one done. First round KO. Let's move on to the next fight. Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. This is an interesting fight to pick. All Julian Erosa fights are interesting to pick because you never know. You never know where you're getting with Erosa. I am going to pick him to win this fight. I'm going to pick Erosa via a 29-28 unanimous decision. He should win this fight, which is why I kind of think he might lose, but I don't know. I'm going to trust Julian Erosa in this one. He always wins the fights he's supposed to lose and then loses the fights he's supposed to win. Like, he should win this fight. This is a fight Julian Erosa is supposed to win. But I just feel like he's going to lose. Like, I don't know. In his last fight, he beats Christian Rodriguez. That was a fight he was supposed to lose. Rodriguez, this up-and-comer, super skilled, good grappler, hard to hold down, hard to just deal with. He's a skilled guy. And he just goes and guillotines Christian Rodriguez in the first round. A couple fights ago, lost to Fernando Padilla by first-round KO. So you beat Christian Rodriguez by first-round sub, and then you get KO'd in the first round by Fernando Padilla. Something ain't adding up here. Caceres, okay, Alex Caceres head kicked him. That was a good KO from Caceres. Caceres is good. Not taking anything away from that. But then you go a little bit farther, you see some of his wins. Charles Jourdain, Darce choke. Sean Woodson, Darce choke. Nate Landwehr, KO. Like, those are three good names. But then he goes to a split decision with Steven Peterson. A guy that got styled on by Lucas Alexander. Yeah, I was thinking of the name. Steven Peterson, a guy that got styled on by Lucas Alexander, went to a split decision with Julian Erosa. And Julian Erosa has a finish over Charles Jourdain, a finish over Nate Landwehr, and a finish over Sean Woodson. If that's not weird, then I don't know what is. Like, in between the Landwehr and Jourdain finishes, he got KO'd in the first round by Sung Woo Choi. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to expect with Julian Erosa. He has such a weird resume. Like, all the fights he's supposed to win, he loses. All the fights he's supposed to lose, he wins. It's so weird. But I do think Julian Erosa gets this one done. He's got underrated hands. I think he's going to be faster than Darren Elkins in there. And Darren Elkins, he's there to be hit. He's hittable. And I think he's going to go out there, piece Elkins up on the feet, maybe mix in some grappling. And I think he's just going to outpoint Darren Elkins, land the bigger, better shots. Yeah, I think Julian Erosa is good. He's just inconsistent, so you never really know. But Darren Elkins is also pretty inconsistent. He's not the best fighter, especially coming into his old age now. He is, how old is he? He's 40. Yeah, Darren Elkins is 40, so you can't expect him to be keeping it up for too much longer. He's not the biggest finisher. He does have some finishes, 7 KOs, 8 submissions, but he has 14 decisions, so more of a decision guy, but he can finish you. As of recent, he hasn't really been finishing people. He won against Daniel Pineda in his last fight. Daniel Pineda is decent, but I don't know. Julian Erosa should get this one done. I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling like a Julian Erosa is going to win. So yeah, Julian Erosa decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. This is one of my most anticipated fights on the prelims. Probably my top 3 or 2 favorite fight on the prelims. But I'm going to have to go with Chase Hooper as a lock. I just don't see where Jim Miller wins this fight. If it stays on the feet the whole time, yes, Jim Miller could catch him and put him away. But it's not like Chase Hooper's super chinny. Like, yes, he got KO'd down at featherweight by Steve Garcia, who was a KO machine. And Chase Hooper should have never been cutting that much weight. He's up at lightweight now, way better chin, and I don't know, Jim Miller's not a KO guy. Like, he doesn't have that many KO wins in his career. Like, yes, he has a lot of submissions. He has like 20 something submission wins, but he only has like 6 or 7 KOs. I'll bring it up on my screen right now. Yeah, he has 21 submission wins, 10 decision wins, and only 7 KO wins. He's not really this KO guy when you look at the amount of fights he has. He doesn't have that many KOs, so I don't know. A KO is pretty unlikely, especially now that Chase Hooper is getting way better. Especially on the defensive end, he's blocking shots, he's parrying shots way better, getting out of the way of shots way better. And on the ground, come on. I know Jim Miller is decent on the ground. He's no pushover, but if this fight ends up on the ground, Chase Hooper is just going to control him the entire time or just scramble into a submission. You cannot go to the ground with Chase Hooper. We saw that in the Clay Guida fight. We saw that in the Vyacheslav Borshev fight. You cannot go to the ground with Chase Hooper. He is one of the best pure jiu-jitsu artists in this division. He went to a split decision with Aljamain Sterling in jiu-jitsu. Aljamain Sterling's an amazing grappler, especially in pure jiu-jitsu. Like, he's an amazing grappler, and Chase Hooper went to a split decision with him not too long ago. So I don't know. I just think Jim Miller's cooked here. I don't see where Jim Miller wins this fight. He doesn't really have crazy power. He's not really a KO guy. I think it's low chance that he KOs Chase Hooper. And I think if it stays on the feet, Chase Hooper can use his range to his advantage. He's 6'1" with a 64 or a 74-inch reach. He's tall and long for a lightweight. Jim Miller's on the shorter, stockier side. Miller's gonna have to explode into like a power punch or get on the inside. And if he gets on the inside, I could see Hooper locking up a guillotine. I could see Hooper just shooting a takedown as soon as Miller gets too aggressive. I don't know. I just think it's a bad matchup for Jim Miller. I don't see how he wins this fight. Chase Hooper should get it done. I think they're going to end up on the ground and either first or second submission for Chase Hooper. First or second round submission for Chase Hooper. I think that's how he gets this one done. Dude, he just looks super impressive on the ground. Just mowed through Clay Guida in his last fight, submitted him with an armbar in the first round. Before that, submitted Vyacheslav Borshev in round 2 with a Darce choke. I know Borshev's not the best grappler, but he dropped him on the feet and beat the shit out of him on the ground in the first round. And 10-7'd him in that first round, arguably. And then just submitted him in the second. So, yeah, I don't know. Chase Hooper is just super impressive on the ground, and I think he gets this one done. Let's move on to the next fight. Virna Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. This is another one of my most anticipated fights on the prelims. This is going to be a very high-level technical scrap. And I just think both fighters have advantages and disadvantages where the others have the opposite. And I think that's going to make it a very fun fight. I think Virna Jandiroba's grappling is really good, way better than Yan Xiaonan's. And I think when it's on the ground, she's going to be showing levels. But I think it's going to be the same on the feet. Yan Xiaonan's boxing and striking overall is just way better than Virna Jandiroba's. And every single minute that it's on the feet, every single second that it's on the feet, she's going to be able to crack Virna Jandiroba, land better shots, out-volume her, be faster, more aggressive, more technical. So yeah, basically, if it goes to the ground, Verna's dominating. If it stays on the feet, Xiaonan's dominating. And who am I going with? I'm going to slightly lean towards Yan Xiaonan to win this fight. I think first round, Verna's going to be able to take her down. Verna's going to be able to kind of just out-grapple her, get her down, control her. But I don't think she's going to find the submission. Yan Xiaonan, while she isn't the best grappler, she isn't just a pushover. You can't just submit her. She has never been submitted in the UFC before. She kind of did against Zhang Weili in that first round. She went out, but it was like right at the end, the bell rang, and then they let the fight keep going. So pretty much submitted, but that's Zhang Weili. Zhang is the best female fighter in the world right now by a mile. Maybe not by a mile. Shevchenko's a close second. But Zhang Weili is the best female fighter in the world right now, pound for pound, across all 3 female weight divisions. She is better than Shevchenko. Better. Why am I going on a rant? But yeah, you get the point. Zhang Weili is insanely high level. Not only did Yan Xiaonan had to worry about takedowns in that fight because Weili is a very good wrestler, she also just had to worry about striking. Even if you take away the grappling threat completely, Zhang Weili is still a competitive striking match with Yan Xiaonan. That's still a competitive striking match on the feet. Virna Jandiroba's striking is way lower level than Zhang Weili's. And the way grappling works in MMA, you have to use your striking to set up the grappling. So if your striking is just completely outmatched, it's going to be very hard for you to just set up takedowns. And I think Virna Jandiroba is just too outmatched on the feet here. I don't think she's going to be able to set up the takedowns well enough. Kind of like Ray Saruya against Joshua Van, where obviously Ray Saruya is the better grappler, but he just couldn't implement his grappling because he didn't have the striking to set it up. I think that's going to be similar in this fight, where Yan Xiaonan's going to be able to piece her up, stick and move, be faster, more powerful, more aggressive, more dangerous, but still see the takedowns coming because she can put enough of her effort into defending the takedowns and still outstrike Verna Yandaroba, if that makes sense. Whereas with Zhang Weili, just pure striking, they're pretty even. Add a takedown threat for Zhang Weili, she's just going to get the takedowns easily. If Verna Yandaroba had a good striking base, if she was like a talented, skilled striker, then I'd probably pick her to win this fight because she would be able to set up the takedowns very easily. But I think it's going to be very difficult for her to set up the takedowns. And another thing, Verna slows down. Verna slows down in her fights. She does. So I think Yan Xiaonan can capitalize off of that. After the first round, it's going to be even harder for Verna to get the takedowns. Xiaonan's not going to slow down. And I think Yan Xiaonan's going to win this fight by decision. So yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. This fight is so retarded, but I'm here for it. It's going to be fun. And I'm going to go with Sean Woodson to win this fight via a 29-28 unanimous decision. It's going to be a close fight, but I just think Woodson's going to be able to outrange Dan Ige. He's 6'2" with 78-inch reach in the featherweight division. That is a big advantage, especially here in a pure striking battle. I know Ige has grappling, but Ige doesn't always go to the grappling. Normally he goes to the grappling when he hurts his opponent and, he senses like a finish or he puts his opponent down. That's when he kind of does go for the grappling, but he's not going to go for it in this fight unless he hurts Woodson. And it's not like Woodson's easy to take down either, so I don't know. I think this fight stays on the feet. And I think Sean Woodson is going to beat Dan Ige pretty comfortably from range. I think he's going to be able to stay back, use his kicks, use his boxing. Sean Woodson comes from a decent boxing background. He's got good hands. I don't think he can put out Dan Ige. Dan Ige is one of the most durable guys we've ever seen in the sport. I don't see Sean Woodson putting Dan Ige away. Yeah, definitely don't see that. But what I can see is Sean Woodson using his range, using his height, circling the outside, getting out of the way of any power shots that Dan Ige tries to get, and just jabbing, right hands, kicks. I just think he's going to outpoint Ige from range. Woodson isn't that fast, though. That's the thing. He's very tall and long, but he isn't fast. He gives up some speed. I think if Dan Ige wants to, he can kind of dig to the body a bunch, work on getting Woodson to the cage, and then unloading there and maybe trying to catch Woodson against the cage. But that's like his only shot. His only way of winning this is a knockout. Ige is not going to win this on the scorecards unless he pushes an insane wrestling pace, which even then, I don't know. It's not like Sean Woodson's easy to take down. He's difficult to take down. And I don't know. I don't know if the leg kicks are going to be there for Ige. He's going to have to get right into Woodson's range, and Woodson is good at checking kicks. I don't know. I just think this is a bad style matchup for Dan Ige, and I think Sean Woodson is going to win this fight pretty comfortably on the scorecards. Circle the outside, jabs at range, front kicks to the body. I think he's going to get a lot of body shots off on Dan Ige with the kicks, and I think Dan Ige is going to start to feel that in the later rounds. But yeah, I think Sean Woodson wins this fight pretty comfortably. 29-28 unanimous decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Main card opener, Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. As much as I want to see Dominic Reyes go on a title run and, get back to the top of the division, I just can't see it happening. Nikita Krylov is probably going to knock him out in the first round. That's what I'm predicting to happen. I don't know. Nikita Krylov, man, he's just super underrated. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, Dominic Reyes' title run starts now. Reyes is going to win this fight. It's a winnable fight. And I agree. It is kind of a winnable fight for Reyes. He is the more technical guy on the feet. He's faster. They're pretty similar in terms of like length and range. Reyes, I think, is a tiny bit taller, tiny bit longer. He's an inch taller, and Krylov has a half-inch reach advantage, so they're pretty much the same frame. And Reyes, he is quick. He's got skilled boxing. He's the more technical guy, but I just can't trust the chin against a guy like Nikita Krylov, who hits like a fucking truck. Nikita Krylov has so much power in those hands. He's not the most technical guy. And I know he's not the fastest guy. Reyes is probably going to be a little bit quicker with the hands, but if Krylov catches him clean on the chin, I think Reyes is going out cold. Nikita Krylov has nasty power. On top of that, Nikita Krylov is very durable. I think he's going to eat the shots of Dominic Reyes pretty comfortably. He's only been finished once in his entire career by TKO, and it was a ground and pound TKO back in 2013 in his UFC debut. Nearly 40 professional fights, and only one TKO loss, and it was like a ground and pound. He didn't even get caught on the feet and put out. That's very impressive. That just shows, especially in a heavier weight class, that's insane durability. I don't think Krylov is getting put out in this fight. I just can't see it. He's super durable, super good chin. And on top of that, on top of the nasty power that Krylov carries, on top of being super durable and a pretty decent striker, on top of all those things, he's one of the best grapplers in the division. He has a nasty submission game, tons of submission wins, and on the ground, he's nothing to be played with. He's a good grappler. He can get takedowns. And I think he's going to get takedowns in this fight. I know Dominic Reyes has good takedown defense. He's very, very good takedown defense, 82%. He's hard to get down. John Jones took him down twice. Yuri Prohaska took him down. Volkan Oezdemir took him down. Jeremy Kimball took him down. OSP took him down. He is able to get taken down. And if he gets taken down in this fight, I think Nikita Krylov is live for a submission. He's the best submission artist that Dominic Reyes has ever fought, other than maybe John Jones. That's arguable. I'd say in terms of pure submissions, Krylov is better than John Jones at that. Krylov has nasty jiu-jitsu, nasty BJJ. I just think there's too many ways for Krylov to win for me to pick Reyes. If it stays on the feet, yes, Reyes is more technical, a little bit quicker. Dom Reyes could outpoint him, 100%. 100% I could see Reyes sticking and moving, being the quicker guy, the more technical guy, using low kicks, and outpointing Nikita Krylov, 100%. But every single minute that this fight is on the feet, Krylov is going to be live for a knockout. Reyes' chin is washed. His chin is not going to be prepared to take shots from a guy like Krylov. And I just think Krylov's going to put him out. Like, every single minute that this fight's on the feet, it's danger for Dominic Reyes. Krylov, he's way more durable. He's more powerful than Reyes. I don't see Reyes putting Krylov out. I could easily see Krylov putting Reyes out. Not only that, the takedown threat of Nikita Krylov is going to open up the striking even more for Nikita Krylov. Reyes is going to be ducking. He's going to be bringing his hands low to defend takedowns. I think Krylov can feint some takedowns, initiate some clinch, go for some takedowns, get Dom Reyes worried about the takedown threat, which is going to open up the striking. It's going to make Reyes a little bit more hesitant to just throw. And I just think once the striking's opened up, I think Krylov's going to land big on Dominic Reyes and put him out. And even if he just puts him down and chases Reyes to the ground, I think he can submit Dominic Reyes. Reyes has never faced a submission threat like this. Krylov is so underrated, it's crazy. I think he wins this fight pretty comfortably. Either a submission, knockout, could even see like a decision where he gets takedowns, knocks him down at some point, steals the rounds, and beats Dominic Reyes that way. I just think this is a bad matchup for Dominic Reyes. So yeah, give me Nikita Krylov to win this fight. I'm going to go with a first round knockout. One more thing I want to mention. Yes, I know Krylov. We all thought he died. He hasn't fought in 2 years. Nobody knew where he was. Krylov has taken time off in fights before. I'm not too worried about that. I just know that he has crazy power, and Reyes' chin sucks. So, light heavyweight, you got a chinny guy against a powerful guy. Usually the powerful guy's going to win, let alone the fact that the powerful guy also has a takedown threat to open up the striking. So, yeah, give me Nikita Krylov to win this fight. First round KO. Let's move on to the next one. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. I'm going to have to go with Yair Rodriguez to win this fight. Patricio Pitbull is way out of his prime. Maybe not way out of his prime, but he's out of his prime. Let's be real. Out of his prime. And Yair Rodriguez still very much in his prime. Still just as dangerous as ever on the feet. He's going to have a big reach and height advantage. Pitbull's not going to be able to stand with Yair. And if this fight does go to the ground, I don't think he's just going to submit Yair. Obviously, he could. Yair is live to get submitted in fights. He gets taken down and held down pretty easily, but I don't know. Yair's been working on his wrestling. I think his wrestling's going to look better in this fight. If Pitbull wants to, he's going to be able to take him down, but is he really going to want to? Look at these other Bellator guys when they debut. Every single time you see a Bellator guy debut, they look for the highlight. Michael Venom Page against Kevin Holland. Emoting on him, styling on him, taunting him. Flashy fucking techniques. He was kind of just schooling Kevin Holland. Michael Chandler getting the big first round KO over Dan Hooker. They always look for this highlight because they want to put a good name on themselves coming into the UFC. They want the fans to love them. Pitbull's going to want that. He's going to try to go in there, get aggressive, land something on Yair. But then he's going to find out that Yair Rodriguez is not the same as a Kevin Holland or a Dan Hooker. He's going to realize that debuting against Yair Rodriguez is a lot more difficult than those two guys. And I think Yair Rodriguez is going to piece him up, keep him at range. He's going to make Pitbull miss. And I think Pitbull's going to go to the wrestling a little too late in the fight. I think he's going to go to the wrestling maybe late second, early third, when he realizes Yair's up and Yair's piecing him up, hurting him with kicks to the body. I think he's going to drop him at some point in this fight with a head kick. And I think Pitbull's going to go to the wrestling, but it's going to be too late. Yair's going to be up on damage. Basically, if Pitbull goes to the wrestling early, doesn't care about putting on the highlight, and just wants to win the fight, he could very much beat Yair. I think that makes this fight way closer. I think he probably does beat Yair, maybe, if he does do that. I don't know. I could still see Yair defending some takedowns. Pitbull's not the best wrestler. He's more of a striker, and Pitbull's old. So I don't know. I could still see Yair winning if he does that. But it's the fact that Yair is going to be just so much better on the feet, and Pitbull is going to be wanting to stand on the feet. He's going to be wanting to look for the KO shot. He wants the big highlight in his debut, and he's not going to get it, and it's going to cost him the fight. So, yeah, give me Yair Rodriguez to win this fight, either by KO or decision. I'm going to go with a decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva, probably my most anticipated fight on the card, I would say, as with most people. And I'm actually going to pick Bryce Mitchell to win this fight. I'm not even picking him because of like the jokes or whatever it is going around. You know, the Bryce Mitchell controversy. I'm not even picking him because I just think it would be funny if he wins. I actually think he's going to win this fight, and I'm going to tell you why. Bryce Mitchell, in my opinion, is a top three grappler in this division. His wrestling and grappling is super good. He has really creative takedown entries. He's really good at getting on the ground and sticking you to the ground, and he's dangerous on the ground too. I know he doesn't get that many submissions, but trust me, when he actually looks for a submission, he gets the submission. He is good. And Gene Silva, he's got a lot of hype for somebody that's pretty much untested. His only like real test that he's had was against Drew Dober, and he couldn't even finish Drew Dober or drop Drew Dober. And we just seen Drew Dober get put out bad in the first round by Manuel Torres. So I don't know, maybe Gene Silva doesn't hit as hard as we think. Maybe he's just KOing a bunch of cans. You ever think about that? Like, Kevin Vallejos took him to a decision. I know Kevin Vallejos is very good, but like, I don't know, Weston Wilson by KO. My grandma did that the other day. Charles Jourdain KO, sure. Charles Jourdain should have never been a featherweight. He was always better. Well, he is better as a bantamweight. A little small for the featherweight division. And Jourdain's a striker. He's not a grappler or a wrestler at all. His wrestling is pretty low level, way lower level than Bryce Mitchell's, way lower level wrestling than Bryce Mitchell. And he was able to take Gene Silva down quite a few times and stick him on the ground for over a minute. I know what you're thinking. Oh, only like a minute of control time. The fucking cherry picking. It is kind of cherry picking, but it's also kind of worth looking at because Charles Jourdain is not a grappler. He's a striker. If a striker is taking you down like that and holding you on the ground for a bit, I don't know if I can trust you against a grappler, especially not a top 3 grappler in the division like Bryce Mitchell, who's also a lot bigger than Charles Jourdain and stronger. I don't know. I think Bryce Mitchell's going to expose Gene Silva's grappling. I don't know. It's kind of hard to just think about Bryce Mitchell getting flatlined again like he did against Josh Emmett. That fight was on super short notice. The Ilya Taporia fight, he had COVID, and Ilya couldn't put him out. He had to rock him on the feet, then get the takedown, then submit him. And I don't know. Like, Gene Silva, I don't think he hits as hard as you guys think he does. Couldn't KO Drew Dober. Couldn't KO Kevin Vallejos. I know Drew Dober is pretty durable, but like, you put Ilya Taporia in there with Drew Dober over 3 rounds, Ilya Taporia is finding the KO. He's putting Drew Dober out of there. And Ilya Taporia couldn't knock Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell had COVID for that fight. I don't know, I just think Bryce Mitchell's experience, he's been in there with dangerous guys before. It's not like Gene Silva's new to him. He's been in there with Edson Barboza. He's been in there with Josh Emmett. He's been in there with Ilya Taporia. He's been in there with Dan Ige. He's been facing nothing but dangerous guys except Kron Gracie. He's been facing nothing but dangerous guys recently. And Gene Silva, I don't think he's anything more special than Ilya Taporia. So, I don't know. And Ilya Taporia has a nasty grappling background, Greco-Roman wrestler. Gene Silva doesn't have that. Gene Silva's not going to be able to implement the grappling of his own. At least I don't think. He could surprise us and be a really good grappler, but we haven't seen his grappling, so we don't know. And Bryce Mitchell, I don't know. Bryce Mitchell's just so overlooked in this fight. He's good, man. And I know what I said earlier about the Yan Xiaonan Verno Yandaroba fight, where you need grappling to set up or you need striking to set up your grappling. I don't really think that's the case with Bryce Mitchell because his takedown entries in wrestling are just really good, and he's really creative with how he does it. Like, I don't know, on the feet, I don't think he's completely just outmatched. Like, I could see him landing some weird, unorthodox shit. He's got good head movement. I think he's going to be able to get the takedowns, and I think he's going to be able to keep Gene Silva on the ground. I don't think Gene Silva is just going to be able to explode back up, and I think we're going to see a very sad but very real fraud check of Gene Silva. Maybe not fraud check, but I think we're going to see a very real exposing of Gene Silva's grappling. I have a feeling his grappling is not very good at all. Getting taken down by Charles Jourdain, come on. Couldn't put out Drew Dober. I know that was up a weight class and he got the doctor stoppage, but Ilya Taporia is knocking Drew Dober the fuck out cold. So, I don't know. I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell in this fight by a decision. Could also see a submission, but who knows. Let's move on to the next fight. Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett to win this one via a second round submission. I think Michael Chandler's going to do something stupid and end up in a submission. I know people are telling me that, Oh, Oliveira couldn't submit him, so Patty's not going to be able to. Yeah, but Dustin Poirier could. Dustin Poirier set up a rear naked choke on this guy. Like, you're telling me Paddy Pimblett's not a better grappler than Dustin Poirier? You're telling me you don't see Paddy Pimblett and Chandler? You're telling me you don't see these two ending up on the ground? Pimblett takes the back, sinks in a rear naked choke, and gets him out of there? You're telling me you don't see that? Like, come on. Dustin Poirier submitted this guy. Paddy Pimblett's way higher level on the ground than Dustin Poirier. Way higher level. I don't care if Dustin Poirier has a black belt. Who give him, brother? Who give him? But no, Paddy Pimblett, I just think he's higher level on the ground. And on the feet, they're both going to be aggressive. They're both going to be swinging. But Paddy Pimblett has a really good chin. I don't see Michael Chandler just catching him and putting him out. I know he caught Dan Hooker and put him out. Dan Hooker's got a good chin, but that was a weird version of Dan Hooker where he shouldn't have really been in there. He was, I don't know, it was a cooked version of Dan Hooker. And I just think Paddy Pimblett is just, he's durable enough on the feet to survive. They're going to be throwing wild against each other. They're both going to catch each other with stuff. And either Pimblett's going to drop Chandler and chase a submission, or Chandler's going to drop Pimblett, chase him to the ground, and get submitted. So I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett either way by submission in this fight. I just think he's a bad matchup for Michael Chandler. Somebody that Michael Chandler's going to struggle to find the finish on. Can't implement wrestling against, because if he does try to implement wrestling against Paddy, I think Paddy finds the sub. And on the feet, it's just going to be a brawl. My only worry for this fight is if it does go into the 4th and 5th rounds, what's Paddy's cardio looking like? He kind of slowed down against Tony Ferguson in that 3rd round, but I don't know. I don't think it gets into that 3rd round, that 4th round, that 5th round. I don't think it does. I think Pimblett's going to finish it within the first 2, get a submission, maybe a triangle or like a rear naked choke or something. I could see him implementing his own takedowns. Oliveira was able to take him down multiple times. Oliveira's wrestling isn't amazing. It's good. He's got underrated wrestling, I think, but it's not amazing. I could see Pimblett taking Michael Chandler down. He's big and strong for the weight class. And I don't know. I just think Paddy Pimblett's going to bulldoze Michael Chandler in the grappling. Kind of similar to what Chase Hooper is going to do to Jim Miller, I believe. But Chandler's going to be a bit more... He's going to be a bit more capable on the ground because he's strong, explosive. He's going to be able to get up from some stuff, but I don't know. I just favor Paddy's jiu-jitsu in this matchup. So, yeah, give me Paddy Pimblett by submission. Let's move on to the next fight. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Here we are, the main event. I'm picking Diego Lopez, first round TKO. I just can't trust Volk's chin. This is a very hard fight to pick. Diego Lopez, either Diego Lopez gets him out of there in the first 2, or Volk wins the decision, I feel like. I don't know. I could see Lopez winning a decision, though. Wins the first 2 rounds off of damage, then steals 3, 4, or 5 with like a big shot. I could see him winning a decision too, but who knows, man. This is a really hard fight to pick, but I am going to go with Diego Lopez. The way I see this fight going is Volk and Lopez are trading shots. Volk's tapping low kicks, kicking at the body, staying out of range. Lopez is marching forward, high guard, trying to get in the range of Volkanovski. I think he's going to land a big shot over the top of Volkanovski's guard. He's going to wobble Volkanovski, but he's going to survive. Then I think they're going to get in some sort of clinch exchange. Volk's going to go for a trip takedown or something. Lopez is going to defend it. And then they're going to disengage. And then off the exit, Lopez is going to catch him with a left or a right hook, whatever side Volk's chin is open on. And I think Lopez is going to sleep him with that left or right hook out cold bad. Lopez is just too dangerous in the early rounds for Volk. I think at this stage, power is a big weakness for Volk. It always kind of has been. Holloway dropped him with that head kick. Makhachev KO'd him with a head kick. Ilya KO'd him. The power has always been a bit of an issue for Volk. He's good defensively, but I think, I don't know, Diego's going to be faster with the hands. Diego's going to be much bigger in there. He's going to be dangerous. If Volk does just try to shoot takedowns, I could see Lopez submitting Volk. I know it's not likely to happen, but I could see Lopez throwing some submissions up and getting one. We know Volk almost got submitted by Brian Ortega, and Lopez is a more dangerous grappler than Brian Ortega. Better ground and pound, better submission ability. But I don't know. I just see Lopez winning this fight. Too much danger from Lopez in those early rounds. And I think his cardio is underrated, I should say. I think his cardio is underrated. Yes, he gassed out against Dan Ige. He had to cut weight 3 times in that fight. Cut to 145. Then Brian Ortega was like, nah, can't make the weight. Move it up to 155. They move it up to 155. Lopez makes weight again. And then Ortega pulls out. Dan Ige steps in and he's like, yeah, 165 catch weight. And then Lopez has to make weight again at a 165 catch weight. So, yeah. What do you expect? Cutting all that weight, you think your cardio is going to be perfect? No. Your cardio is going to be cooked. But then you look at the Brian Ortega fight, his next fight after that. He didn't really gas out. He 30-26 Ortega. Won the 3rd round comfortably. he didn't really gas out that bad. Yes, he's not the exact same fighter he is in that first round. He's not as dangerous or explosive, but he can still hang. He can still keep up. He can still land good shots. And I think over 5 rounds, I don't see Volk finishing Lopez unless it's like a ground and pound TKO if Lopez is like super exhausted in the fifth. But call me crazy, I could see Lopez winning the decision or getting an early knockout. Because hear me out, alright? Lopez wins round 1 and 2, just being more aggressive and out damaging Volk, hurting him. Volk wins round 3, gets some takedowns, outstrikes him. Then round 4, Lopez lands a big shot and steals it on on two of the judges' scorecards. It ends up being like a swing round. Lopez steals it with a big shot, and then Volk wins the fifth. Lopez 48-47 split. I could definitely see the fight happening like that. 100%. I'm not going to pick it to happen like that because, I don't know, I think if anyone's going to win the decision, Volk is more likely. But, I don't know, Lopez's danger factor is just... I'm picking Lopez. He's too dangerous in this fight. I think he's going to KO Volk in the first round off the exit of a clinch exchange with a left hook or an uppercut. Volk backs up with his chin open, especially when he's exchanging in clinch strikes. Especially when he's in the clinch and he leaves the clinch, he exits with his chin in the air. Against a long guy like Lopez, who's dangerous, he can't be doing that. And I think he's gonna catch Volk. I think he's gonna put Volk out. Volk's old. He's an unk. I don't think he's completely washed, but I think his chin is cooked. And yeah, Diego Lopez first round TKO. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Longer video. This is the most stacked card of the year, so makes sense to be a longer video. A lot of the cards deserve a lot of talking, or a lot of the fights deserve a lot of talking. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. See you guys in the next one. Peace.